This conference will now be recorded.
I wasn't offering you anything.
Yeah. Because we can't get it through.
I can turn on
Whoever
background.
you know.
Okay, I guess y'all can hear us tonight, huh? How about that? Right, happy? Okay, so, good evening, everyone. I call to order the meeting of the Town Commission, July 5th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Thank you to those that are listening to our live auto feed. And just a reminder that those that wish to make public comments during the meeting are encouraged to attend in person in our chambers or send their comments to the town clerk prior to the meeting. Who's calling our roll? Because it's not Armstrong.
I can call your roll.
Please, Town Manager Stevens, would you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Commissioner Cos.
Here.
Mayor Probert.
Here.
Vice Mayor DeHassa.
Present.
Commissioner Pugh.
Here.
And Commissioner Michelak.
Here.
Excellent. Okay, please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okey-dokey. Are there any additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda?
I have one addition. I would like to add an item for employee recognition right directly after this approval of the agenda.
All right. Everybody's good with that? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'll entertain a motion on the approval of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Good to go. All right. Ms. Stevens. Chief Jones.
Thank you very much, and appreciate all those in attendance. If Officer Savino, if you could come up for a moment, please. So while she's making her way up front, Officer Savino on June 21st observed a vehicle traveling in our town, and the driver was not wearing a seatbelt. Very, very minor infraction. She pulled over the driver, who was a wanted felon who has been on the run for the last 10 years. So not only was he a wanted felon, but he had felony charges at the federal level for smuggling, narcotics, and/or human trafficking. So obviously not the kind of individual that we want cruising our town. Obviously, he was subsequently arrested and taken into custody, but that's not something that happens sometimes in an entire career for a police officer. I've been doing it for 22 years. I've never had that encounter before. So I commend Officer Savino for that. And while she's up here, she is part of one of the added things that we have done since January 10th at the police department that we call aggressive criminal enforcement. And Officer Savino is leading that group. And because of Officer Savino and the actions of fellow police officers, we have gone from producing approximately 311 traffic stops in a 6-month window to producing 2,091. That's up to 672% above what we were doing a year ago. Additionally, we went from making 14 arrests to 44 arrests, all because of these kind of actions. So these are the officers who are obviously helping to protect the community and keeping you safe by keeping the criminals that we don't want in our town out. So thank you again for all your effort.
Thank you.
Since I'm up here, I would like you guys to know that these actions, the way we work, the ACE unit, which is myself, Officer Ramirez, who is back there, and also Parapet, who's not here. We do what we do because we have the support of our chief. I've been here for almost 10 years, okay? And I can tell you that when I get up in the morning and I come to work, I know that I have him behind me and behind the unit. And I can say on behalf of the majority of us that we love working here, and you guys can rest when you're at home because we're watching, we're monitoring, we are serving and protecting. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Officer Ramirez and Officer Sassoff, can you come up? I want to share a story with you all that happened yesterday. So yesterday, while all of us were enjoying our 4th of July, including myself, I was at home barbecuing like many of you were, I get a phone call that things aren't going so well in Ocean Ridge at the moment, right? Ultimately, what happened is these two officers were patrolling A1A, doing exactly what we were just talking about, and they got a digital hit from our license plate recognition system indicating that a car that entered town, the tag did not match that car. That is a suspect vehicle in our eyes because that's the kind of suspect vehicle that we're getting hit with when we're having vehicle burglaries, vehicle thefts, and home burglaries. So they immediately start targeting where's this vehicle at, which direction is it headed. The vehicle passes them, they get behind it. As soon as they get behind it, it does a U-turn on A1A and decides that, we're not staying in Ocean Ridge. So as it begins to leave town, they turn their lights on, they turn their sirens on. The bad guy says, nope, not stopping today. We end up in Boynton Beach on Federal Highway, where the bad guy decided that to evade police, he was going to go in the oncoming traffic lanes so that we would obviously just disengage and return. That's not how we operate. He was putting everybody's lives in jeopardy on US 1. Officer Ramirez identified it very quickly and initiated what we call an emergency pit maneuver. It's an early intervention technique. It's an intentional crash that causes very little to no damage to a police vehicle. All of the officers in the last 6 months have been trained to do this technique by none other than the Martin County Sheriff's Office. Everybody knows their reputation, right? So we get the car stopped. The bad guys going in there. They get out and run. The driver's armed with a handgun. It's in his waistband. Officer sees what he believes to be a gun in his waistband, but he's still pursuing him. He loses sight of him. The guy commits a burglary to a residence in Boynton Beach to avoid police detection and ultimately is apprehended by K-9 officers as well as our officers. They were arrested, and when we searched the car, we found an AR-15 style rifle in the vehicle, as well as the firearm that he was carrying he threw out while he was running. So that individual who had multiple felony arrests in his history now has several more. He did get to enjoy his night at the Long Beach County Jail, where he was held on no bond for the violations. But obviously their intentions weren't positive, they weren't good, and as a result of these guys' quick thinking, the use of technology, and their willingness to do this job, we kept bad guys out of town again yesterday. So thank you all.
I want to say thank you to the ORPD, and you guys really appreciate everything y'all do. Okay then. Whew. Presentations and proclamations. We have an ethics update. Rhonda Geiger, am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, I don't really want to go after that.
Oh, come on, baby. General Counsel, Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics. Please join me in welcoming Rhonda.
Thank you for having me. This will be very quick, and thank goodness for proactive policing. Thank you for supporting that. I don't live here, but I sort of wish I did. I just am here basically as a reminder to you all that we are here for you guys. No matter what you need from us, we really want you to, we want to be proactive on our end. Ask, our motto, ask first, act later. No matter what those questions might be, you know, if it's whether or not you can vote on something, whether or not you can participate in a discussion, whether or not you can accept a gift, we really want to make sure we address those things before they happen. So please be sure to let us know if you have any questions at all. I have handed out books and pens, and my pen didn't work. So if anybody needs another pen, let me know. But my business card is inside the booklet as well. I've taped it in there. I'm your liaison, so please do feel free to reach out to us. We really want to make sure that you all know that we're here. That's what we do. We look forward.
It works.
Oh,
It works.
good.
Yeah.
I tried to check it to make sure.
We really do look forward to helping out before we have to tell you to pay that gift back that you didn't really even want in the first place. You know, those type of things. So remember that we're here and we're more than happy to help. So just please feel free to reach out either to me directly or to the Ethics Commission, which is on all of the forms that I've given you, the little handout, the top 10 ethics mistakes, etc. So any questions, anyone? I'm so happy that I had my seatbelt on and when the speed limit, which is my nature. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very
so
much.
for having
Thank
me.
you very much. All right, next, please join me in welcoming Erica Whitfield, Palm Beach County School Board member. She will give us an update. Welcome, Erica.
Hi, everyone. This is a fascinating meeting, and I can't wait to go home and tell my husband all about what I just learned about the police in Ocean Ridge. It speaks to having such a great police force, so thank you. I'm so glad I got to be a part of that. My name is Erica Whitfield. I have been on your school board for 8 years, and it is my fault that I have not been here. Before this, I was having a great conversation with one of the island residents here on the island, and he said to me, people on the island may not have schools, but they're very interested in where their tax dollars go. And so I thought, I've actually gone, and one of the things I committed to when I started on the board many years ago was that I wanted to make sure to be the most accessible school board member that was out there. So I have been to all my cities that have schools, and I come and I report on the schools, and those presentations go a little differently because I talk about how we're doing with the grades and how the students are doing and, what they're accomplishing. But because I know you guys maybe have different interests, I sort of tailored a little differently just to come and talk to you today. So I want to talk to you about what, we're going on in our schools and where your taxpayer dollars are going. So I think schools are the biggest impact that we actually have right now in our community. This last few years, as you may know, has been very, very difficult for our schools. So going through the pandemic, coming out of it, and really having to deal with the mental health issues that have been going on with our students, and then since then has been a really big priority for me. We had children during that time who were in our school, not in our school. We had this hybrid education, which I have to tell you was very painful for all the teachers and the students, and everyone didn't go great. But we're coming out of that now. So we had some teachers that were trying to teach to the students that were in front of them and through the computers that we had to teaching them online. Those children they're behind in their education following that. It is very difficult. But I have to tell you that Palm Beach County actually has done better than most places in the country because we were able to provide an education to students during that time. So it wasn't as great as it had been before, but we were able to actually keep our schools open. And my daughter went back to school the very first minute that it was humanly possible to do so. We had that conversation because I do understand. I have a 14-year-old now. At the time she was 12. And she didn't do well being home, and being in that online environment wasn't great for her. So as soon as we got a chance to get kids back into the school, I sent her. And then now we've been welcoming them back this year, and they've pretty much been in the buildings. Some children chose to homeschool or do a different option, private school options, virtual. So there's a few children that are out, but by and large, most of our children are back. And Palm Beach County school system was particularly ready for this because after the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas tragedy, we actually had to put a lot of resources into making our schools ready for the security issues that were coming up, but it actually translated very well into the pandemic. So we actually put a lot of mental health supports into our schools, and why were we able to do that? It's because of your tax dollars. I'll tell you a little bit about your tax dollars. So when you look at your property tax bills, and I've actually had people photocopy their tax bill and mail it to my house that says, big circle, what is this for? And I completely understand that. So we pay in Palm Beach County 6.875 mils, and in a town like Ocean Ridge, you're really looking at quite a bit of money for that. The rate is set by the state, so I don't choose that. But what we do is we have an option within our district to levy. There's a 1 mil piece that we can levy as much as we want to of it. Of course, we levy as much as we possibly can. But because we bring in so much money from our local property taxes, the state of Florida actually sends us a lot less money to do the work of the school district. So we provide as a county 60% of our funding, and the state provides 40%. In other communities, if you go to a small community, it'll be like 30% by the county and 70% by the state. So we're considered a donor county because of that. And then in addition to that millage, we actually have referendums. We currently have 2. We have one that's on your sales tax. We actually took half. You guys got a piece of that, you might remember. So when we put that extra penny, so we went from the 6 cents to a 7 cent sales tax, that extra penny, half of it came to the school district, and we went and we spent that money all on construction of our buildings. And some of the things that helped was during Stoneman Douglas, when we came back from that, we realized we needed to focus on things like single point entry within our schools. So making sure everybody, when they come in the morning or all throughout the day, has to come through one space so that they can be protected. We know who's coming in, who's going out. That's a big part of it. Video equipment throughout the schools so we know who's there, and it can actually be monitored by our police at our station, which is actually in the Fulton Holland building on Forest Hill. So that's a big piece of it. The other referendum we have is on our property taxes. It's 1 mil, and we have levied that 4 years ago. It's actually coming back up in November. And so if you guys will humor me when I will come back then and maybe talk to you a little bit about it as well. So it will be up again in November. But what that 1 mil did, which has been amazing for us, we were able to put in safety and security. So following Stoneman Douglas, we upped our police force. We made it bigger and stronger and better. So we have a police officer in every school, which is wonderful. We put in mental health providers in every school. So we have what's called a behavioral health professional within every school. And that's really helped us with that post-pandemic kids coming back. But it also helps with, the prevention of other tragedies, because we see these kids before something bad is going on with them, and we can try to tackle that first, which is a really important thing. The other thing that we've done is we've actually put extra funding into our teachers' salaries. So if you've worked at the school district longer than 10 years, you should get an extra $10,000 onto your salary because of those dollars that you're giving us. So huge thank you. That makes us competitive with the rest of the state of Florida, and with this very difficult, expensive area that we live in, our teachers are able to stay. And I gotta tell you, people really will move for that. We actually picked up a bunch of people from Martin and Broward when that happened. So that was huge. And then the other thing we did is we continued a piece of the sales tax that actually has been going on for probably like 15 years, which was 600 arts, music, and PE positions, and supporting those choice programs that Palm Beach County loves so much. And actually, my daughter will be attending one of the premier ones in the county next year too. So it's something that, I'm very attached to, that option of choice and being able to pick which school you want to go to and what fits for your family. The other thing that we were able to do with that half penny that went towards infrastructure that I didn't mention before, that really helped us with the pandemic, is we were able to give devices to all of our students. And that's something that a lot of communities in the country were able to. We actually, right when the pandemic hit, we spent $80 million and bought computers for everyone. It was a huge buy, but only able to do it because we had that infrastructure dollars. Since then, we've been replacing all of them. It was something we wanted to do before the pandemic. We would never have been able to without that sales tax dollars. And it was something that helped keep these schools going. So when you see these scores coming in from around the state, which we just got our English language arts scores back, we've gotten our math scores back, Palm Beach County is doing that much better. We're one of the best urban districts. We've beat out so many of the other scores in the state. And then we're actually competitive on a national level where we wouldn't have been because they weren't able to do that as fast as we were. So we were able to pivot in a way that other people weren't. Finally, I just want to mention that without all of this, we wouldn't be able to run. We have a $4 billion budget in Palm Beach County schools. It's massive. But we wouldn't be able to run the school system that we do if it wasn't for these additional dollars from the state, from the county. The state only gives us, we're about 44th in the country as far as education funding goes, so we're pretty low in ranking. Usually we get about $7,000 per student. There's communities that go up to $17,000, $18,000, $19,000 per student. So ours is a little on the lower end, but because we have Palm Beach County support, we actually are able to be really competitive. And so it's a wonderful thing. So again, this is going to be coming up on November's ballot. If you want to know your light in the town right now on people being here, but I will come back and I will talk again. But the most important thing for me was really just to reach out because, I have represented you guys all this time, but you don't have a lot of schools, so you don't really see me as much. But I try to be really accessible. So I wanted to come and talk and be here for any questions you have, any concerns you have with your schools, and just let you know that I'm here if you have anything even going forward. So that's it. I wanted to bring that all up to you. I thank you so much for your time today, and let me know if you have any questions.
All good? Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate the work you do.
Absolutely. If you ever need to reach out to me, I have a website on the school district, and my email address is erica.whitfield@palmbeachschools.org. And I really appreciate you all, and please let me know if you ever have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Town Manager Stevens, would you please present the Employee of the Quarter Award?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. The Employee Recognition Committee met and voted to select Durrani Guy as the Employee of the Quarter. The nominator had this to say about Durrani. The role of the building official can be very stressful and at times overwhelming without much praise or accolades. In the small and very busy building department, Durrani is busy from the moment he steps into the building until the time he leaves. And sometimes even after that, he often juggles many problems, situations, site visits, code reviews, plan reviews, inspections, meetings, and much more. Durrani has a vision to bring the department completely digital, to streamline guidelines and processes and more, and is currently working to implement that vision for the betterment of the town and its residents. Our sincere thanks go out to Durrani for being a team player and a proud member of our essential team and for going above and beyond the call of duty. Congratulations, Durrani, for your Employee of the Quarter Award.
Thank you. Excellent. Town Manager Stevens, would you please read the announcements?
Absolutely. The meeting schedule for the next month is as follows. Budget meeting Tuesday, August 1st at 2 p.m., followed by the regular town commission meeting at 6 p.m. The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for July 21st has been canceled. There will be no building officials forum in the month of August due to the budget meeting schedule as well. Residents who wish to sign up to receive important town notifications and news through Civic Ready should sign up on the town's website or call Town Hall for assistance.
All right, thank you. I will now open the floor for public comment on any item that is not listed on the agenda. Please.
Good afternoon, evening, everyone. My name is Michael Nolan. I know some of you, others I do not. And here I'm an attorney on behalf of Waterfront ICW Properties, which owns property just north of here in the town of Ocean Ridge. Over time, Waterfront ICW has been engaged in a number of legal disputes and other disputes with the town and has tried to find a mechanism to resolve all of its disputes with the town of Ocean Ridge. To do that, I reached out not too long ago to the town attorney, who suggested that if we had a proposal to give to the town, that we do so in writing, which we did via correspondence dated June 15th. I have copies here if anyone would like, if anyone does not have. I'm here today to follow up on that, to ensure that everyone had a chance to review that and to see if anyone had any questions in order to, again, find a way to try to resolve all disputes that exist between my client and the town, and let you guys know that we are here to try to work through things, and to the extent there's a point person or somebody that I can communicate with, and if it's someone other than the town attorney, if the town attorney, that's fine too. I just would like to know that, and if there's anything we could do or any additional information we could provide, we'd appreciate knowing that. So thank you. Any questions, anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm John Deaver. I'm an Ocean Ridge property owner since 2011 at 5500 Old Ocean Boulevard. I'd like to bring attention to an unsightly threat to our town's lovely beaches. That is proliferating signs and light pollution. It seems that some property owners feel that they own the beach and wish to stake it out with a plethora of signs. I'm speaking specifically of the 5 or 6 signs erected by Turtle Beach. With its sea levels increasing and high tides regularly reaching the dune, it's preposterous for property owners to proclaim ownership of a sliver of sand. While they're within their rights to want to keep non-residents from using their beach access, impaling numerous signs on the beach and proclaiming beach ownership completely degrades the natural setting for everyone. And if this trend continues, with other property owners seeking to stake their claim, the beach will become nothing more than a sandy lot punctuated by signs. And that's what I see when I look down the dune. I request that the town commission seek to limit the number of signs erected on the beach, which are also a danger of washing out and becoming a hazard to beachgoers. The visual assault continues with homeowners who, with ever larger homes and picture windows, who eschew curtains or window treatments. It's truly sad to walk down the beach at night and have to be subjected to bright lighting, or worse, large TV screens that are as blinding as virtual billboards. Again, must we all be subjected to unsightliness? This is not why we chose Ocean Ridge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Is
Betty?
Eric, Betty's.
Betty's coming.
Betty Bingham, 1 East Ocean Avenue. First accolades to the police. I don't usually get excited over something, but I let my dog out the other night and she tore around the house with the meanest bark. I finally got her back in and she was bouncing off the walls. I called the police. They came. I had all the floodlights turned on. They searched the whole yard and came back and assured me there was, I don't know what was there, but there had been something there. And I do thank them for coming, because I don't know if I'd go to sleep if they hadn't. And so I just wanted you to know I appreciate it. And, number one, at the budget meeting, I never heard anyone mention the $1 that they owe the property of 1 Ocean Avenue for the sidewalk being on their land. And I only bring this up because we never want to relinquish that piece of land so they can never widen A1A at that spot, which is right on the corner, and there's a plug in the sidewalk. Just what part of the sidewalk is on our property? So I'm just saying, I've asked for it, you don't have to give it to me, but it should be on the record. Then the dunes. The federal government has, said last time, has a $5 million sign for anyone obstructing, walking on, or tearing up the dunes. And the dunes are privately owned. And as much as I've always thought the beach should be open to everyone, that doesn't mean that they have a full right to abuse property owners, legal property. And with all of the building going on west of town, I think by next year, we're gonna need another policeman to patrol a lot of that and patrol some of the, you're gonna have to stop all the noises of people taking off at the stoplight now, because you can hear from more than 25 feet. You're gonna need some extra. And then one last thing. You were talking about grants. And all I want to say is the grant writer is far more important than the lobbyist. And there are grant writers, and some can never get a thing, and some know exactly what they're doing, and they can bring the grant home. So I suggest if you're going to get grant writers, that you go over them very carefully and get one that can get some kind of remuneration for the town of Ocean Ridge.
Thank you, Betty.
So nice to be able to hear you.
Yes. Good point. Dave?
Dave Hutchins, 33 Harbor Drive North. As many of you know, I get up in the morning, usually walk my dog to the beach, and I have now gotten to the point where I'm going to all the accesses so I can see what it's like. And I mean, you see some really neat things. You see residents picking up trash, making the beach nicer. You see people out for a walk, just enjoying the tide coming in or going out. But we still have dogs using the beach freely. And I'm not against it if it's part of the ordinance. So my suggestion is, as a commission, you should discuss this and decide, do you want to have dogs on the beach? Or do you want to enforce the existing ordinance? And then act on it. I'm not singling anybody out. I know my dog would love to run down that beach. People say, why don't you let him do it? And I say, I can't, because it's not what we have agreed to so far. So I'd like you guys just to think about it. Maybe it's something that needs to be changed. I'm happy with it the way it is, but just please think about it, talk about it, do something about it. And Chief, please enforce the law, the ordinance, without, discriminating against certain people and others. It's the fair way to do it, I think. So thank you for your time. Thank you for keeping the town safe, and I'd like to thank all of you for doing a good job.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I got one. Is Eric Brief here? No, he was trying to make it, and in case he didn't make it, he wanted me to enter this to the public record under his name. Eric Brief is 8 Sailfish Lane, and in that neighborhood, there's a house that has construction going on. Also has bicycles, barbecues, hammocks, stacks of chairs, beach balls. It's got about everything imaginable out on its front lawn and side lawn. And Eric has made numerous complaints to the police and to the town manager, and the police have done the best they can. So what Eric is simply asking is that the town commission put on the August agenda a discussion of blight. Now, I know that the planning and zoning attempted this a couple of years back. It's very difficult to describe blight in an objective way, but he's asking that we put it on the agenda for August and have a discussion about what is acceptable and what is not. I don't know how many people have been down Sailfish Lane. I think if you were the neighbor of that house, you'd be upset. That's from Eric.
Can I give you a brief update about what we have done with that property?
Please.
The cinder blocks that were in the front are now gone.
That's the least of the problems.
Yeah, the beehives, we can't do anything about those because they're allowed by state statute and they preempt us, so we can't do anything about the beehives.
Actual beehive?
Yeah, beehive?
You should go look at
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
Like an apiary?
Like live beehive?
Wow. As far as the other items that are in the yard, the property owner is just coming back from out of town, and he is gonna come into town to apply for a permit to move his fence more forward so that he can fit the other items back behind the fence, so it's not visible from the road.
Well, if Eric was here, he'd tell you 2 things. Number 1, it's been going on for 3 months when the owner was in town. And number 2, he keeps his backyard empty. Why doesn't he just take all that stuff and put it in his backyard?
They're doing some sort of construction right now too.
I don't
On the
think the
roof.
construction's in the backyard, but
It's the
I could be
roofs.
wrong.
So is Eric coming into town?
Eric is attempting to get here, but he's not here.
Okay, so maybe you want to reach out to him again?
We have,
Okay.
several times.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Any other public comment?
Can I also, just for a moment, so everybody's aware, I went back and pulled because I know the dogs on the beach issue has been, problematic during the last season, and I wanted to see comparatively how we've been doing with enforcement. From January to July of last year, we did 34 enforcement actions for animals on the beach. So far, January to July of this year, we are up 25%. We've done 42 enforcement actions. So it's not, I just want to make it clear that we are enforcing the ordinance as it stands, because that is the law. That is what the commission has decided to put on the books, and we are just enforcing that. If the commission obviously decides to make a change or deviation from that, we'll be more than happy to change our enforcement action, but we are doing that enforcement action, and we are doing the best we can based on the ordinance and the rules that apply under the ADA guidelines.
All right.
Does that carry a fine?
You can receive a civil penalty for dogs on the beach. We've just revisited our fine schedule, so that fine is now, I believe, up to $50 per violation.
I think the best way to make people behave.
Okay, then. Any other public comment? All right, I will now, let's see, our general comment period is now closed. So next on is approval of the consent agenda. Tracy, would you please read the consent agenda into the record?
Absolutely, Mayor. Adopt minutes of the special town commission meeting of June 6, 2022. Adopt minutes of the regular town commission meeting of June 6, 2022. Acceptance of the revenue and expenditure reports for April and May. Resolution number 2022-10, approve unity of title for 5512 Old Ocean Boulevard, and designate Mayor Hurlbert as the Florida League of Cities voting delegate for 2022.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion on approving the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. All right, agenda item number 2, Old Ocean Boulevard pedestrian safety updates regarding signage. Chief Jones, would you please update us at this moment?
So I conducted a preliminary review of the signage that exists on Old Ocean, trying to keep in mind that we want to reduce the number of posts that exist, therefore reducing the number of signs that are spread out across Old Ocean, so that we don't have any additional sign pollution, while we also are trying to enforce the guidelines that we're put forth by the state, as well as our local ordinances and the desire of the residents. So I've presented to you a request to repost all of the signage on Old Ocean. And in doing so, we would eliminate probably about 50% of the signposts that currently exist by just simply doubling up signs, meaning that on one single post, we may have the speed limit as well as no parking signs on that one single post. And then on any other post, we would just simply have the stop signs and any other signage that may be required on those. This would obviously help with the desire of the commission to reduce the pollution. But I did obviously want to bring to the attention of the commission that these signs are not inexpensive. We are talking somewhere in the ballpark of $400 to $750 per sign, depending on content and size, to be made out of the wooden construction material that we're used to seeing in the signage that we have on Old Ocean. So we're really looking for guidance from the commission at this point as to whether you would like for us to proceed with placing the order for the signage, and if so, whether you would like to see something different done with the signage, or whether the proposal that I've put forward to minimizing the number of posts is pleasing to all of you.
All right then, I'll open the floor to public comment.
Hello, Melanie Rodriguez, representing Fayette residents. I spoke last meeting when the committee brought up the signs, and we did notice that the signage was only mentioned as you come over to the bridge to the north. No streets to the south. Fayette is to the south and part of Ocean Ridge. Also, the streets are public streets leading to public beach access. So having said that, it seems like it might be an issue, I don't know, but we would like Fayette to be included because we have been speaking since 2019 about our neighborhood's small, dead end, no room for a turnaround, numerous people looking for a way to get to the beach. We do have a public street, we know, but dead ends, no turnaround, and the path is not open to the public. So we've been asking since 2019 for signs letting people know. Technically, it is trespassing. So we would like to be included in that budget, not only on Old Ocean, but on Federal. We need people to see there is nowhere to turn around when they come down the street. We are
A1A.
I mean, A1A.
Yeah.
We are the first street as you come south over the bridge. So we get a lot of turnaround. So our cars have been hit, our mailboxes, our sprinklers, our hedges. So we have a big concern about that, letting people know that path is not open to the public. And once that crosswalk comes in, people are going to see that leading into our neighborhood. So we would like to be included in the signage, and then whatever the enforcement is going to be for that signage.
Which sign are you talking? Local traffic only?
All of it, whatever you're going to do for residents, north and south for Old Ocean.
Right.
But then we have a path at the end of our street that also leads to the beach.
Right, there's two sets of signs. There's Old
I
Ocean.
understand.
And then there's the ones that are being discussed. I don't know if they're committed to, that are going to be on the A1A side
Yes,
of
we
4 or
need them
5
both.
streets.
We need
Right,
both
that's what
ends.
she's talking about.
Yes, so we would like, Fayette residents would like to be included in that budget.
Thank you.
I think
Thank you.
that's already part of it. And in my discussion with staff, I brought that up too, and they already confirmed that.
Right.
There was a question of what material.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
moving, we're moving forward. Fayette is part of the deal.
Great, thank you.
All right, any other public comment? Okay, I'll close it and I'll open the, I'm sorry?
I just have a comment.
Oh, come on up, Salem.
As to this prior lady talking, she's talking about vehicle traffic, right?
Oh, yes, start.
Salem Mazaroff at Crown Colony, 5500 Ocean Boulevard. She's talking about vehicle traffic, not about human traffic, correct?
Yes.
What, nobody's a human trafficker.
I don't mean traffic up. I mean, me being in Crown Colony and walking down a public street. Okay, so
Talking
I
about
wanted
vehicular
that to,
traffic.
we're clear on that, right?
She's not pointing you out.
I know she's not pointing me out, or the 148 units at Crown
Correct.
Colony. But I want to make it clear that she's talking about someone from wherever driving down her
Correct.
street and then turning around. So you're suggesting, so her suggestion is that you stop all vehicles that, other than people that live on that street? Is that what the suggestion is?
To put local traffic only.
Which is a suggestion, yes.
I
That can't, that can't.
I could buy into
Yeah, that
that.
can't
Which is
hurt you all.
not, it's not enforceable.
When you turn around on the street, I'm hoping that you're not, when you actually turn around in the back there, you're not hitting her hedges or her mailbox.
That I could buy into.
Right.
As long as it's not human traffic.
No, no.
Exactly.
Okay, then. Public comment? Fini? All right, let's close it and talk about, what are you looking at?
Mark space.
I know, I saw it too. Okay, so we'll close it to public and let's discuss the signage situations, what was brought up today. All right? We all good? Everybody back there good? All right. Martin, do you have some input here?
I actually had a conversation with Betty just a few minutes ago, and that's a question more or less for staff. Apparently the original signs that were made, the original wooden signs were made by a company that helps handicapped.
Yes, still use them.
It's the same company.
Yeah.
Same-
Jeff Industries.
Yeah.
Jeff Industries. Okay, so that's,
Yes,
yeah.
Mo.
That answers her question.
yes.
My question is, not my question, my comment is this, as we had discussed in our staff meeting, that I would like to see an alternative to the wooden signs that would be comparable to the look of the wooden signs. So basically, I'm very much in favor of how they look. I like the way they look. It makes Ocean Ridge what Ocean Ridge is. You know, it identifies basically who we are. But maybe we can make it out of a different material that looks exactly the same, but costs us less, because $400 to $750 is quite a steep budget item when we're talking about, upwards of 10 plus signs.
I think the price has gone up because you're putting two signs on one post, because it's usually $250 for a post and a sign.
The price has gone up because of the inflation issues and lumber costs.
Lumber costs,
Yeah.
I would assume, yeah.
But you're looking for other options, which we
I would
discussed
just
at
like to
budget
see if we
composite.
can also look at different options, not changing the look of it in general, but maybe finding alternatives to it. That would be my only objective. But other than that, I love the plan. I love the idea that we're doubling up signs, get rid of some of these posts. Fantastic idea.
Steve?
So I went through the list there, and to even get rid of more signs, I see no reason for any signs needed on Anna Street that runs along the ocean where it hits Old Ocean. There's one parking sign and 0 speed limit signs. I don't think we need to add any signs at all on that specific stretch. I think the discussion is the signs that Melanie was referencing, the local traffic only signs, which are going to be up against A1A, not necessarily on Old Ocean, except at either end. Whether those signs could be the metal signs, which would save us quite a bit of money.
And we could consider placing those signs on the back sides of the stop signs that are already existing, so that we don't have additional posts inserted. And as long as it doesn't interfere with the visual functionality of the stop sign, then it probably would not be prohibited.
Right, because currently, I know on Beachway, there are traditional metal no parking signs, and I think even on Old Ocean, there's a few.
There's a couple.
traditionals.
They're mixed.
Yeah. So in other words, we want to keep the look of Old Ocean, which is the wood signs or the composite signs, but other signs, I would tend towards, what are they, aluminum, metal?
They're typically made out of an aluminum material with a adhesive sticker that actually is
Right.
what the signage is.
Okay.
So they're lightweight, they're thin, and they can be applied
Right.
easily to the back.
And somehow or other, being up against A1A, which is a more official road than Old Ocean, it would seem to fit the environment of A1A better than a wooden sign, which people are gonna lose sight of.
And I did recommend to the commissioners individually in the meetings that we had separately that the signage, in my opinion, if we were going to move forward with that, that we do it, to her point, that we do it on all roadways along A1A. So that lead,
To Old Ocean.
east or west.
How
So that-
about we just do this? Why don't you just make up a map?
Yeah.
So we all can see what's going on, where the signs are. And then
Right.
the public can see where the signs are going. We can see where the signs are going, so we can
It's a-
see where they're at and where they're gonna go.
So the
So at that
suggestion,
point, we don't have to keep on talking about which one to go here, here, and everywhere else.
the problem is the town is not small enough to have one map, so you're gonna end up with about 10 different pages. If you don't mind
Well, you
seeing
can
it
go
that
south,
way.
let's not make it too difficult.
No, I'm serious.
I mean,
I
it's just-
tried to
It's
map it
actually just from
originally.
Corinne down.
Well, if you
Right.
do it on all streets, then it wouldn't be just Corinne South. So that's why I'm asking for guidance for what you want
You're looking
before I
at-
build.
You're looking also at the westbound entrances?
That was
Off
the
A1A?
recommendation.
Yeah, we were doing
If you're
when you
gonna
get
do
in
it
there,
for
before
one-
you enter that street, it's right there at A1A in the street.
Yeah, but not westbound.
Not westbound,
No,
eastbound.
not westbound, no.
Right.
Because you're not going on.
I'm
to the-
losing where these other
But we have a
streets
local
are.
traffic only on ours.
That's exactly the point that I'm making, is
Right.
that you're giving to one resident by doing something on the east side, but the residents that live on the west side that may have a dead end street or may want to reduce the amount of traffic flow.
We're all dead end streets.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, we're all.
But aren't we just
That's
talking
why
the
I'm
ones
looking for
leading off
guidance.
Old Ocean? Isn't that the
That's where the
conversation?
conversation
Yeah, it's a
started.
conversation, we're trying to stick with
So
that.
next year's
Otherwise,
conversation could be the west side if.
yeah, right now, we're just talking about the Old Ocean signs, and then the local traffic only are the roads leading to Old Ocean.
Correct.
Nothing more, nothing less.
But
Okay,
you are-
Stephen, you
but
want?
you are
Fayette's
adding
not
more
leaving
because Fayette doesn't
Right, right.
lead
Well,
to
they're-
Old Ocean.
I think Fayette's a special little, because they do lead to the ocean, they just don't go through.
Same with.
That's a determination for you
I
guys,
know.
not for me.
I know you'd
That's
love
what I'm
to duck
saying,
out of
make
that
up a
one.
map so we can all look and see where these signs are going. And at that point, we can, debate at that point.
Is that your comment?
That's
Anything else you want to put in there?
Over commenting.
Okay.
I'll play on it, and it's something that I asked for in my staff meeting also. I'm very visual. I know. Give us a map and also give us the price for metal and the price for composite and the price for wood. And then we can make an, intelligible decision, like, mix and match. I would favor only the east side of A1A, not necessarily the west side.
From what direction or from what point to what point?
I would presume from Corinne.
Fayette?
Huh?
Fayette?
No, Anna to
No,
Mercy Hill.
Anna to Briny.
Actually, all the way.
Anna to Briny?
Anna to Briny. I mean, you can't do
Right.
for one that you're not gonna do for the other. I
So the
don't
last two would be Ocean View, Douglas.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
think. And tropical, right?
The Tropicals.
Douglas is
north,
even
yeah.
one more.
Okay.
All right, my only addition to all that is when I first brought this whole thing up about the traffic safety on Old Ocean is the stop signs and the speed limits, because I see the speeding and the stop signs. So if we're doubling up on the signs, my suggestion was on those stop signs, we add the golf carts and bikes. If we're going to sit there and tell the bikes and the golf carts they have to stop. I sat there with Deb the other day, and we must have had, in 10 minutes, we probably had about 8 to 12 bikes running the stop sign, and Deb very nicely saying, excuse me, you have to stop. And they're all going, I didn't know that. So therefore, maybe a sign there that says golf carts and bikes
Good luck.
on the stop sign. What, with the sign or
Not
stopping?
with the bikes.
Well, you got to start somewhere. That's probably what they said about cars too. So that's my thought. If we're doubling up, let's look at seeing what that would add to us, putting golf carts and bikes. If we're expecting them to stop, we need to let them know, because I think most bike and even some golf carts don't know they're supposed to stop. So that's my.
It's just a cost option.
And are we're discussing?
Because when you hand out a ticket,
right,
and especially to a resident, they're the first ones that will say that they were not aware of it. So, I mean, you're
I think you've already
double-edged
seen
sword
that come
one way
in
or the
here.
other.
What's that?
That's already come in.
It's a double-edged sword one way or the other.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's like it's the speed limit as well, is we were talking 13 miles per hour. I'd like to consider making that 15. 13 is almost a cartoon number. 15 sounds, even though we know we can't keep it going, 15 sounds a little bit more legitimate. You'll see it.
That was not the point.
The point was.
No, I get it. I understand what was said.
So the Citizens Committee recommended 13 because it does stop you. You go 13.
And laugh.
No, not necessarily.
So anyway, that's my suggestion, is if we were going to go for a more legitimate number, 10, I could go.
You laugh until Chief pulls you over.
He can't because it's unenforceable. So anyway, those are the 2 points I'm throwing out there. So our consensus here is that we
Map
want to
and
look at
cost.
we want to look at the
You
map.
want the cost, including the signs that are recommended by Mayor Probert as well on the stop signs, or
Yeah.
do you just
Get a
want
price for all of them.
signs?
Get a price for them. We'll
Yeah,
decide.
throw it in there. We're looking at prices.
Do it separately, obviously.
Yeah, do that as a separate line item.
Yeah.
It's just one more sign.
Exactly.
All right, so,
Careful what you wish for.
Okay, item 3, first reading of ordinance 2022-09. Manager Stevens, would you read the ordinance by title into the record?
Yes, first reading of ordinance number 2022-09, an ordinance of the town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its code of ordinances, specifically the land development code, to extend the architectural requirements for front elevations to all elevations for single-family dwellings and accessory structures, and to permit flat roofs with restrictions on single-family residential dwellings and accessory structures by making revisions to chapter 64 zoning, article 1, district regulations, section 64-1, RSF and RSC, single-family residential districts, section 64-3, Ocean View Special Area, article 3, supplemental regulations, section 6450, location of exterior residential equipment and accessories, and section 6460, decks, patios, driveways, parking areas, steps, stoops, and terraces, unenclosed and uncovered. Chapter 67, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 3, Technical Codes and Other Construction Standards, Division 1, generally, Section 67-37, Roof Systems, provided for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Town Attorney Cato, please advise us on this item. You don't have to repeat that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this ordinance primarily does 2 things. The first one, a relatively simple thing, is to extend the front elevation requirements that includes doors and windows and significant articulation to all sides of residents now within the town, including accessory buildings. There is an exception for a 100 square foot or less utility shed or storage building, and that's to enhance the architectural features around town in new construction. That's the one issue. The second issue, and probably the bigger issue, is the allowance now for flat roof systems in the town. As you know, right now under the town's code, we only permit pitched roof systems. And so that we're all on the same page, under the current code with a pitched roof system, you are allowed to have a flat roof area. The flat roof area can be up to 20% of all roof structures on the property. And that flat roof area may be used for outdoor space. There's no limitation on what can be up on that flat roof area currently under the code. There's no limitation on how you access that. It's pretty broad and open. So with the initial discussion of now adding flat roof systems to our code, the first issue was, how are we going to allow flat roofs, and are we going to allow flat roofs to be used like we allow a percentage of our pitched roof systems that have flat roofs? So what has happened, and we've worked with Planning and Zoning Commission, several different meetings. This ordinance has gone through several different rewrites. What we've come up with is sort of our best shot at what we think is the first step of getting this right to allow 2 roofing systems within the town. So what this ordinance proposes to do is to now allow flat roof systems in addition to pitched roof systems. To allow both roof systems to have a flat roof usable area, and I'm calling that usable area, meaning it can be used as a porch, recreation space. The Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation was to limit the flat roof usable area to 15% of your total floor area. So shrinking it a little bit from the existing 20% and also limiting it to your total floor area as opposed to all roofs, structures on the property. The flat roof, not the usable portion, just your flat roof system will have restrictions on it. You cannot use it to store equipment up there. You can't really use it at all except for in times of maintenance, repair, or emergencies. The flat roof usable area will be open to being used, just like under the current pitched roof system. The only restriction that we're now putting on all flat roof usable areas is that access must be interior to the property. There are restrictions on heights with the flat roof system. The tie beam height for 1 story is 14 foot. The tie beam height for 2 story is 24 foot. The flat roof usable area, whether it's pitched roof or flat roof, can have a max elevation of 14 feet from the finished floor. The intent behind that was so that someone doesn't put a flat roof usable area up on top of their 2nd story so that they're overlooking the neighbors. The flat roof usable area will also have to comply with all building setbacks so that it cannot extend into a building setback and be closer to a neighbor's property. Like I said, this is sort of our real attempt at getting this codified because there are some projects in the work that are looking to use flat roof systems. As in reading the title, you can see there are a number of sections of the code that this ordinance touches. We anticipate that there might be further tweaks coming as we sort of try to work with this thing and allow for these 2 different types of systems, while at the same time trying to keep it equitable so that there's a usable space on whatever roof system you choose. So that's basically it. If you have questions, I'm here to answer them.
All right then. I'll now open the floor for public comment. All right.
Good question. This is the first I've heard of this. So is the.
Would you approach here? Give us your name again, address?
Yes, John Deaver, 5500 Old Ocean. So is this to open it up to more houses with the flat roofs? I mean, so you can, that's all they have? You know, more of the flat roof modern look? Is that the intent to that we're permitting that and, you know, moving forward?
Madam Mayor, do you want me to respond?
Yeah, would you please?
Yes, so the Planning and Zoning Commission was seeing some different design features that were coming in where they want a modern looking house, but they're required to do a pitched roof system. So what they were seeing was that people were using the parapets to try to hide the pitched roof system to comply with the code, and it became sort of a massing issue. So part of this is to allow for that more modern design, allow for flat roofs, and try to put some limitations on how high the more modern buildings can be.
Yeah, I mean, aesthetics are subjective, but it's really not going to age well. And the stuff you see out there already doesn't look good. That new townhome at the end of Old Ocean, it looks like a bunker. I mean, I wish I'd been more vocal. You're going to see a lot more of me. But I mean, it's rather appalling to see what's going on because, you know, it's also stupid in Florida to have a flat roof. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And I think that we're, you know, caving to a very trendy thing that in the end won't age well, and it's going to look pretty bad years to come. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
I have a question.
Come on up, Betty.
I have a flat roof over my garage, which people use to dive into the pool or to put flagpoles on. It has an outside entrance, a spiral staircase going up. Do I have to have that grandfathered?
If this passes, it will be grandfathered.
Yeah,
So build it fast.
it's already there.
And stop jumping off your garage into your pool, please, Betty. Stop doing that.
Any other public comment? All right, public comments now closed. I'll open the floor for commissioner discussion. Martin?
So the Planning and Zoning Board has done a fantastic job trying to discuss this back and forth. They went, I think, through every possible scenario that they could possibly think of, and you know, there's 5 members on that board that have really put a lot of effort into it. Background to this is, and that to your comment, what you see is, you see a lot of architecture right now that goes into that modern look. The reason why it really came up was that we have just received our FEMA regulations, which has increased where we need to have our building height. And we're seeing our houses can be 36 foot, basically can go up to 36 foot from your level up to the top of your roof. And they tried to tweak it at P&Z to a point where limiting the parapet, trying to make that shorter in order to encourage people to not use these hybrid looks of flat roofs. And but then when the FEMA regulation hit, basically, if you picture the house with a regular roof, it takes away the massing of the house, right? So it has a pitch to it. It doesn't look as massive as if you would build this as a modern structure. And the idea of allowing the flat roof in this was to actually reduce the building height. And in this ordinance, part of this ordinance is what a building height is. If you're doing a flat roof, you cannot build 36 anymore. You can only build, I think it went down to 32. 27. Which takes the massing of the building downwards. As the height of the building increases, we're trying to bring it back down, so we're not looking at these massive structures. That was the intent behind the ordinance, and P&Z has, again, done a fantastic job, to the 2 members that are here, trying to discuss this and trying to come up with something that is sensible in it. The only issue that I have with this particular ordinance, as it sits right now, I know down the road we will have to tweak it. I think this is a massive piece of legislation that is coming through, and it will need some tweaking down the road as we see new things coming up. My only issue is with the parapet height of 32 inches. I don't think it needs to be 32 inches. I think that could be reduced. I leave that up to everybody else, but as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't need to be 32, it could be less. And as long as nobody's using the top area of that deck on a 2-story house, I'm perfectly fine with it. The comment from John Scheibels, he texted me a few minutes ago. He read through the ordinance, and the question was, and if you could, Chris, if you could answer that for him, the 15% of the total floor area, does the total floor area basically mean the first and second floor of the home, or does that mean the footprint of the house?
I believe Durrani might be best to answer that, but I believe it's your footprint of the house. There's actually a definition in the code of total floor area, and that's that definition. Okay. As you go up, it's supposed to decrease to 75% of that.
But it's still floor area. Do you guys know the answer to this?
You mean Rick?
Yeah.
I see him jumping up real quick.
Did you understand the question? Is it the FAR or is it the actual footprint of the base of the house?
I think that's a Durrani. And
he's looking it up here.
Accurate.
How can you not know this?
He's looking it up here.
These are the type of issues that we were just talking about that may come up and may need to be revisited. is very complicated.
Yes.
And I think you'll remember from our workshop on this, our initial inclination was not to allow any rooftop use. Then we found out that our code already allowed 20%. So that we were kind of in a little bit of a catch there, and we tried to come up with a compromise for some areas only over the first floor for that. But the calculation on it, I'm not sure. We were very close to taking this to one more round of review when Durrani correctly spoke to us and said, at some point, we have to just put a pin in it. We have applications pending. There's always opportunity to fine tune it as you go along. And we were told to kind of move along. And that's kind of the suggestion here for everybody. Christie's done as fine a job as possible with this, but is it perfect? Probably not. We'll find things and we'll find somebody that's clever trying to find a hole in it, and we'll plug that hole.
And we can discuss it here too, since we're the ones that are passing this, so we can define if we want 15% of the footprint of the building or 15% of the total floor area, including, square foot.
Durrani, what did you come up with?
story.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah,
So
Durrani,
the
let
intention,
Durrani
I
answer.
believe, is for floor area, meaning the footprint.
Correct.
Right, the footprint of the building. But let me add to Christie's presentation.
Please.
And the genesis of us. So from my standpoint, one of the things I noticed was we had a lot of applications where people wanted the flat look. They wanted that, and that's what they wanted. So what did they do? They built a hip roof behind a flat roof. One, it costs a lot more, and two, it's way more technical to do and creates a lot more problem. You have problems with the possibility of roofs and scuppers being clogged up. And I mean, you literally just throwing away money because you building this wall to hide a roof, which should be a pitched roof that should run water off the roof, but it's not running off the roof, it's running inside the roof. So many problems. So if someone really wanted a flat roof, the best thing to do is to put a flat roof. It's less expensive, it's more efficient, and it's creating less problems than what you are doing right now. And at that time, the town wanted to look at the scale of the building. So as we heard just now that we had some buildings that look very massive. So if the client wanted a flat roof, and a true flat roof would actually reduce the scale of the building, then the building would be more proportional and more pleasing. As building official, go either way. A person's preference in their design is their preference in the design, and it is the commission's job to make that and guide them along. For me, I'm just looking for safety, and does it adhere to the Florida Building Code. The Florida Building Code absolutely allows flat roofs. So it's a town preference not to allow flat roof. Let's put that there. There's nothing structurally wrong with a flat roof. It could be built well. Obviously, a pitched roof will always drop water better than a flat roof, but we have advanced technologically. There are some amazing systems that are now in place that make flat roofs comparable to actually pitched roofs. So, we're there. So again, I applaud the Planning and Zoning Commission, a very, very bright group of individuals, and they put a lot of energy into considering this topic. And for the tone to understand it, it's going to take time. And for, we still need to get into it. There are a lot of technicalities, some of the words that we use, like we're talking about flat roof, we're talking about flat roof areas. So for us to get into the jargon and understand everything, it's going to take some time to absorb it. But again, you two are a bright commission, you'll understand most of what's going on. But are we going to get it right the first time? The truth is maybe not. And as we move along, we're going to realize some other things. And like the state does when they put in their legislation, something I noticed is that sometimes they put it in, see how it works, and then come back later and amend it. And maybe we ought to do the same thing. with some of our ordinances and, just, put it in the field and if it, see what we need to do to tweak it and change it later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Anything else?
Am I up?
Your turn.
So actually, I'm glad you're standing up here. And Christy, correct me if I'm wrong. The way the code was originally, before you guys wrote this, and I appreciate the attempt and the amount of knowledge and the amount of expertise that went into this. It was you could have a flat roof for 20% of all roofs on your property, not just your house roof, the shed roof, all that, et cetera, correct?
That's correct.
So we went to a 20% could be a flat roof of your main house based on all the roofs on your property. So what we've done now is we've taken that 20%, and I don't know how I feel about this, Rick, and we've gone to 15% of the footprint of the lower level of the house. So we haven't just knocked 5%, we've knocked, I don't know how much percent away from the homeowner's choice of how big he wants his deck. That troubles me. So, and just a small point, if you have your deck up against the edge of your roof, you're gonna have to have a 3-foot parapet, but really you can have a 3-foot fence, right?
Really?
Really, yeah.
Yeah,
Right, so
but you need that anyway, because that's
for
security.
safety.
Yeah.
But if you're right next door to the 2-foot parapet, you guys will have to come up with something to enclose it, so you can't just walk one more foot and be in something with just the lower parapet, because that wouldn't be safe. You see what I'm saying? If the usual space is here with the proper railing for safety, and you walk over here and you're still on a flat roof, and it's no longer safe and you could fall off, there has to be some kind of barrier or something there.
Right, so the idea is actually to deter that use of that space.
Right, but you have to bury it somehow.
You'd have a barrier, a wall that separated that, yes.
Right, and I'm assuming that you guys went to 15% because you're trying to limit you're trying to help the privacy of the neighbors. Is that the idea? But you see, the privacy issue is just the part of the usable flat roof. Can we call it a deck? The deck that's up against the edge is what could upset a neighbor. So if the deck ran more rectangle back this way, and a lot of it was in the middle of the roof, the neighbors wouldn't care. So I'm kind of against the 15% because of the reduction.
Clarify one thing, and either of you correct me if I'm mistaken on this, but the way I understood our last discussion was if it was a second floor area and was under roof on the second floor area, such as we're seeing a number of the houses with gabled roofs, that wouldn't be limited by the 15%. Is that correct?
If it's under roof?
Yes, if it's under roof.
Right, because one of the issues we're gonna have to work on is it a balcony or is it a flat roof usable area?
Right.
And that's where we don't really have a clear distinction in the code existing right now. And right now, your balconies can actually extend into your building setback. And your balconies aren't listed.
So what if your balcony happens to be the exact same place as your usable flat roof?
That's something we're gonna have to work
You
through
see what I'm saying?
as we.
This is why it's been a long time since
You had the balcony.
you gave us this assignment and it's coming to you.
Right.
Well, you understand what Chris is saying. So you get your 15% and you say, well, I'm gonna stick a 5-foot balcony over here. So now you've jumped another.
No, but the balcony has to be underneath the roof.
No.
No.
It's a balcony. It sticks off the house.
It depends.
would be
I mean,
the deck.
it's one of those things that I think when the design comes before the Planning and Zoning Commission, they're gonna have to look at it and be sort of like, okay, what is your flat roof usable area? And which is your balcony or what have you? We do know if it's a flat roof usable area, it can't be any setbacks.
Right.
However,
But
we know if
it's
it's a balcony, it can go into a setback. So that might help to distinguish between the two different things.
Good luck.
I do want to make one clarification if I can. The definition for total floor area that's currently in our code is not limited to just the primary structure. It's actually all buildings. So we might be splitting hairs by saying it's all roof structures or it's the total floor area. Whether or not that's gonna make a huge difference is only gonna be something that we can discover as we continue to go with this. I think the bigger difference is going from 20% max down to a 15% max.
Yeah, I did math on an average home, and that's like 200 feet of deck you lose. But I was going with, an extra 100 feet on a shed, 10 by 10, yeah. Everyone's probably gonna hate this, but do you think it's worth you guys and P and Z fine tuning it a little bit more? Because it sounds like you're super close.
Yeah.
Well,
As
I
you-
got a
Tracy
question.
You got
said
projects
that
waiting. Yeah, we got
July's
projects
meeting has
waiting
been
on this.
canceled, so
So-
you'd be waiting till see
Yes.
this again in September.
So
Yeah.
the flat roof area, 50% is only on the 14, it's only on the one story, the first story.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the second story, it's on the first story. So I'm thinking in my head when we were talking, and why not, I could make my flat roof area about 500 square feet if I have, 3,600 square feet or whatever, and then add a balcony to my flat roof area. So now I have a balcony on my flat roof area, so I can actually extend, because it's a balcony.
Yeah.
And I've got my flat roof area. So now I'm out 500 square feet plus another 10 times 5, another 50 square feet. So I have a nice little area there. You see what I'm saying is that there is a lot of moving parts
We
here.
may have to define balcony.
What's a balcony? And can a balcony be attached to a flat roof area?
And can an outside staircase connect to a balcony, which connects to a flat
Right,
roof?
exactly right.
All right.
How many
Christine?
projects are waiting on this?
Yeah.
I mean, because we could slice and
Yeah.
dice this for the next
Yeah.
5 years.
I don't like the idea of passing an ordinance and
Me
saying,
either.
let's fix it later.
So I have at least two that I can count that are actually being in design at the moment, that are waiting for development plan review.
Okay, so we'd be delaying them minimum of 60 days.
So
Actually 90 because there's no
No
meeting in July. Say P and Z comes up with something a little bit more refined in August. They give it to commission in September for first reading. Maybe we'd pass it on second reading in October. So we're now delaying residents their personal property rights to build something for a minimum of 4 months.
Why are we delaying residents? They can build it to the ordinance they have right now.
Which is 20 feet, 20%.
Well, they wouldn't be able to have a flat roof.
But you can't do the flat roof system.
And that's kind of a hard thing to change mid-construction, go from a pitched roof to a flat roof. So there's a couple of things.
Okay.
I agree with the reduction of the 32 inch parapet. I mean, I think we need to be consistent across the board. I also agree with Commissioner Cos, that is the location of this 20% really makes a huge difference, because if you look at traditional, I mean, at least on Sable Island, how our houses are laid out, my garage abuts my neighbor's master bedroom and vice versa. So it just goes that way. If you look at, you don't usually have in any type of urban planning a garage next to a garage sitting 2 houses next to each other. So they've tried to, through this, create some type of privacy. So, but most likely, you're probably not going to want your flat roof over your master bedroom. You might want it over your first story garage. So therefore, you're looking down into somebody else's master bedroom. So I think, to your point, Commissioner Cos, it really, a lot of it depends on the, where it is. Obviously, I think there is tweaking. There shouldn't be continuity between a balcony and a flat roof, because then you've now opened Pandora's box to interpretation. So I'm comfortable passing it the way it is. I agree. I don't usually like to pass things the way that it's, if we haven't thought, and they have thought it through. The problem is this one ordinance triggers, I think, about probably at least 6 to 7 others minimum. Am I correct in that, Attorney? So it's not just one thing. It goes on and on and on. So I would say, in deference to our residents that are waiting to have some type of flat roof guidance, that we go ahead and pass this. I mean, this is not going to immediately trigger 500 houses of our housing stock to go wild. We're talking about 2 residences right now, and hopefully that, we can continue to work on it.
All right.
So let me,
Wait, more? Have you
a
finished?
very strange question.
What?
So we only have 2 houses, and we agree this ordinance is rough and needs refining. Is it possible to pass an ordinance so these 2 houses can start and they literally be the guinea pig houses so we can figure out? Because we're gonna have to rewrite the ordinance and now we're gonna have living examples.
I think calling it rough is a little harsh.
Yeah.
I think it's, we came up with one area.
I didn't mean to
in
insult
the
you,
area
it was rough.
this is a big ordinance, and it's all about the flat roofs and the parapet heights and everything. And all that was pretty much worked out until it was, it already allows 20% under the existing code. Now we have to address that. That's really been the discussion here is how does that fit in? And I think because it's, 98% good and not 100% good, we'd be better off to come back and maybe keep thinking about that 2%. And I'd like to see you send us a directive to look at what the definition of balconies are and have that on our next agenda. And while we're looking at that, we may find something that flows into this and we want an amendment. But I think you directed us, was it workshop last August?
Yeah, y'all have been working on this for a
forward.
while, and I've been sitting through those meetings, and I know how diligently you have been looking at this.
It gets to the place you kind of forgot
Where you started. Right. Yeah.
And how that is. And I just, without Durrani and Christie here leading us, we wouldn't be this far.
Right. I think that what we have here is what we should be going forward with. And if something comes up from there, we tweak. Like you said, that's where the Florida Code does, right? And sometimes an amendment has to do. But I know that you guys have put time and effort into coming up with
But your suggestion to look at the definition of balconies is a real good one. And if
yes.
we have direction to staff to have us do that, we'll put it on the next agenda.
Dave, would you like to say something?
Can I just say something real quick? Just
Yes,
2
please.
items.
I'm more than happy.
One thing that you're talking about was the parapet height of 32 inches. And what we're really talking about is the 2nd story parapet height. And our chairman said that that would provide a visual break from the usual vents and everything else that you would see from the ground. So if you lowered that parapet more than that, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing vent chimneys and other things that might not be as pleasing to the eye as you might think with a shorter parapet. So I think you want to stay with this 32 inch. Now on a you're just hiding things.
The 36 is just safety for the user.
Well, no, 36 is
That's
a
why they
fence height,
reduced it to
but this is
32.
what you would have on your first, the walkout on your 2nd floor, right? So, I think that Rick had the right idea. You're gonna just build a wall. Now, I don't know. We were actually starting to talk about the difference between balconies and porches, and we've been going for 4 hours and we were cooked. And we just said, you know what? Let's send this to the commission, see what they have to think about it, because ultimately you guys make it up. It's your decision, not ours. We're just helping out. But just parapets 32 inches, please, if you can think about it.
I appreciate that.
And
Yeah, I remember the meeting, and I remember Mark having that discussion of where the number, it wasn't just out of the air. So pardon me?
I was gonna ask you something.
So my input would be, since we've all had our little conversations, I say that we should pass that, not just on the fact we have 2 people holding. Flat roofs is a big deal. It's coming. The style's not going away anytime soon, like it or not. Therefore, I think we need to have something on the books.
I don't think Commissioner Pugh had an opportunity to weigh in.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
I have just one question. We keep talking about these 2 homeowners, all right? You keep bringing up these 2 homes. Now, the 2 homes that we're talking about, when they submitted their plans, have they submitted the plans yet?
No, these are actually architects, designers that I've talked to that before
So
someone submits, sometimes they have a consultation. And they
so-
say, we heard that we're gonna have a flat roof and my client really wants a modern looking home.
All right, so I guess that's my point. So, and to your point about a homeowner waiting, it's not about a homeowner's waiting because they're hoping to see that they don't have to build to the code now. That's what they're hoping to see. So if we pass this, they can build to the code that we're passing. So my ultimate point, my ultimate point is that I don't make ordinances to placate the people that may be building homes here. We make ordinances, and we have to make the ordinance suffice enough that we're changing the building code that will change a lot of different things here. And I understand amendments, but I also understand that there's a lot of moving parts in this thing. And I'm not opposed to flat roofs, but I just don't think, to be perfectly frank, that this has been vetted more, and it should be vetted more before we pass something as large as this ordinance. And if it's going to cost a little more to build the roof the way we have it in our ordinance now, build the house. If it's not, then you can wait to build a house. But I do not want to make an ordinance because somebody wants to build a house here. I understand. I make the ordinances so that these ordinances last for a long time and we're not constantly changing and changing and changing. You want to make the right decision the first time. And yes, there are going to be little tweaks and things, but these aren't little tweaks. I mean, my one little point about adding a balcony to your 15% blew it out of the water. Let's face it, I could come up there with a spiral staircase. I could come up in my porch on a staircase to my flat roof and then go out on my flat roof and on my balcony. And not only am I looking at my neighbor, I'm looking at the neighbor on that side, I'm looking at the neighbor on this side, I'm looking all over the place. That is a consideration that just is not even thought about here. So that's my point. My point is, let's not go, if it was an ordinance that was very small, and had just a few different things to it, okay. But this ordinance, if you really read into it and all the stuff that's been changed, like you said, it affects so much more. And to your point, amends, okay, you know how much time that takes, how much money that takes with the town, how much effort it takes with the town staff that we're talking about a budget today. So maybe have a little bit of, even a little more discussion about it. That's all on my point.
Durrani, would you like to speak?
So there's another one I didn't mention, my bad. There is a project that's actually near completion at this time that has been built with a flat roof, that the Board of Adjustment has actually given them the okay to build a flat roof system. That house cannot be CO'd until this ordinance passes.
Is that the house on Island?
Yeah, Island Drive.
On Island Drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I stepped back up, because I remember the owner coming before us 3 or 4 months ago and saying, please move forward.
Right.
I'm kind of stuck here with a half-built house. So it's more than just a designer thinking about something. There's somebody who's in reliance that we're going to do something about flat roofs and move forward.
Oh, wait, I'm missing something here. Wait. So he pulled a permit with a flat roof?
That's start. Through you, Madam Mayor. So he pulled a roof with a permit with a pitched roof.
Okay.
Then he came to the Board of Adjustment and asked that his roof be modified.
Okay.
To a flat roof system, and he was given authority to do so.
Does the Board of Adjustment have that power?
Through a variance?
Was that a variance?
Some type of process, maybe
Yes.
Our Board of Adjustment
attorney could,
representative is you. Come, speak,
elaborate
Ben.
on that.
I questioned one day, wanted to do this, and you remember, whether we had the legal right to push planning and zoning, and whether we could give him permission to change it. Is that not correct?
That's correct, yes.
Then it would have to wait until this was all over?
That's correct. So I'll give you a little bit more information
Thank
on
you.
it. What happened was their house was approved with a pitched roof system. It's a modern design. The builder was concerned that because it's a pitched roof and they're having to hide it, so it's this hybrid roof system, the builder was concerned they were gonna have roofing issues and problems, just as Durrani mentioned. So we told him he could apply for a variance to go change from a pitched roof to a flat roof system, because the ordinance, even at that point, wasn't even close to being in any kind of draft. So he went to the Board of Adjustment to request a variance to be allowed to build a flat roof. The Board of Adjustment struggled with this because they knew we were working on the ordinance and that there was a lot of issues, because every time you turn around, whether it's the balcony, whether it's the parapet, whether it's this height or that height, we were running into issues, and it was a constant back and forth with planning and zoning to sort of massage this thing and get it to its current state. So Board of Adjustment granted the variance with the caveat that it has to match whatever flat roof ordinance gets passed by the town commission. So the builder was instructed that the current draft, that there would be no usable outdoor space of a flat roof, there would be no storage on it, and he said, I don't have any problem with that, I just want to build it correctly so this guy doesn't have roof issues down the road. So that is the one that is actually now substantially built, that
So-
has a variance for this.
So let me get this straight. So basically, the Board of Adjustment granted a variance to an ordinance that is not even in existence, but could be.
But could be.
No, refer to a possible ordinance down the road that could be.
That's not, but that's the point. The point is, it's not in existence. You approve something that is not approvable. There's nothing there. You're working on it.
Yeah, they didn't approve anything.
So what is the town, what's the town's culpability in this? And that now the guy he's got approval from the variance board, right? And the variance board has said, yes, you can do that. If there's an ordinance that comes out, I am trying to.
I just want to back up for a second, because I would like to clarify. The Board of Adjustment could have said, great, build your flat roof. Done. The issue's over. What the Board of Adjustment was struggling with is the same issues that the Planning and Zoning Commission has been struggling with, in terms of, if we let someone build a flat roof, what, if any, limitations are there going to be on it? And the Board of Adjustment, the majority of them, wanted to make sure that they've been trying to put parameters on variances that are granted to the extent possible, they treat as many people as fairly as possible. So that was, I believe, in my opinion, the rationale to say staff is working on an ordinance, and if that ordinance is ultimately going to get passed, and folks after this home builder can utilize that ordinance, let's go ahead and allow him, this builder, to do that same ordinance.
My objection was of doing it at all. And I think what was finally said, let him go ahead, and he guaranteed that he would make his roof adhere to whatever planning and zoning passed, even if he had to change the roof once built. Am I right?
That's correct. Right. That's correct. And if the ordinance doesn't get passed, he understands he has to add in some type of pitch to his roof to comply with the current code.
So but see, there's my question again. So the man has finished the roof. Is that correct?
Yes, Commissioner, he has finished the roof.
Okay, so he's finished the roof. So now the town, if this doesn't go through right now and waits or whatever, he's gonna wait for a certain amount of time to get a CO. However, if this doesn't, we don't pass it, or it takes 6 months, he's gonna wait until, are we gonna charge him for renewing his permit? Or if it goes longer than that particular time, when his permit runs out, his house is done, he can't get a, like you just said, can't get a CO. For how long? Does it take a year for this? Are we now going to be in that? Is he now going to, you're going to go to his house and, hey, code enforcement? The whole thing about the Board of Adjustment passing something that's not even on the books is
inconceivable.
Inconceivable. It doesn't even, I can't even imagine saying, well, you go ahead and build it because we're working on an ordinance that you might be able to do this. I don't see where the advice was saying, look, like you said,
We all do,
Chrissy. Chrissy said exactly right. If you were going to pass, the Board of Adjustment was going to pass something, they should have said yes or no. Not yes, but if this happens, because it's nothing there. So that person's both the town and those folks are in a very bad position. Now, that's a whole different story.
Right, that's a whole
So
nother
back
can
to
of
the
worms.
ordinance.
So back to the ordinance, all right? Has everybody had their input here? Right, I heard
Can we at this point?
Except for me?
Add certain things to this ordinance?
Ooh.
Since it is on first reading, just add certain provisions to it that are not substantial enough to trigger another first reading?
You can, as long as they're not substantial
Right.
enough, and then you can go forward a second reading.
But consider the fact that if we start amending now with just sitting here with this little conversation and with what we've been talking, I know that you've been sitting in there with the P&Z meeting, so I know that you are schooled a bit on this, but amending what these guys and their whole group has been working on, I'd rather see the thing just go and let's see where we go from there. Because if we start amending it, oh my goodness.
I disagree. I think that there's certain points that just came up that are worthwhile noting or defining at least.
Throw them out. What is it that you're talking about?
For me, if you have a flat roof, you cannot add a balcony to it. If we can add that into it without going back to first reading, that would be one of my points. I think that right there, that just takes out a whole section. And then as we see down the road, other things that come up, fantastic. But this is something that troubles me too.
Are you saying no balcony at all, or are you saying no balcony that adjoins the flat roof?
Adjoins the flat is attached in any type, or abuts, whichever the English language provides.
Both. Let's do both.
Abuts, adjoins.
Can I ask Rick if this was discussed during the multitude of meetings we had on that?
I think that never came up.
Well, that's because there could.
We talked about balconies.
Do you recall?
No.
I don't know.
This is something we were about to, at the end of a long meeting, about to touch on.
Okay.
And I think you've got a good point. I can't speak for the planning and zoning. We don't have a quorum between two of us here. But the purpose of planning and zoning is to do work for you. Ultimately, these are your decisions. And if Christie says you can add an amendment to this, that at this point, and everybody has consensus on that, or if the majority has that, there's no reason not to.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something that was discussed.
It's not going to step on our toes.
Okay.
So that's what I want to make sure.
I just want to make sure it's something that wasn't discussed and thrown out the door back then. Okay. Right, Dave?
That's right.
Now, me speaking personally, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
All
right.
One voice.
So on the amendment,
Would be three at this point.
because we're gonna stumble into something else, banning the balcony abutting. Can we, in the amendment, throw it on Durrani until we fix this whole thing? At his discretion? Because who knows what's gonna happen once we start looking at balconies and flat roofs? Maybe the balcony's over here and you can get, who knows?
Cannot abut.
I think we're
attached.
Jumping ahead, jumping too fast.
I agree with you, but we have dug such a bad hole here that we almost have to move forward with it. Because we got homeowners, we got the Board of Adjustments. I have no idea how that could happen.
Right, but it is.
It is what it is.
That's right, so
And
let's move forward.
So we have to sort of save the situation, but at the same time, get the ordinance fixed as quickly as possible. I don't know, next month, the month after, whatever.
Yeah, we need to limit
We're in a
the
bad spot,
exposure and
Jeff.
the liability. So if this, I think there is.
All right, so are we going to move forward with this ordinance?
I would move that we would move forward with the ordinance as written, as long as it is amended that no balcony can abut or adjoin the flat roof area.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Do I hear a second?
Jeff?
I'll second, but.
Discussion.
Can we, is it inappropriate to put in something that says that, and this ordinance will be reviewed within the next 2 months?
We can.
Well, we can send
Instructor.
certain
No,
things
they
back
did.
to P and Z. It
Yeah,
doesn't,
just
but
take
it's
it
not
back
part
to
of the
P&Z.
ordinance. You can still instruct P and Z to
Okay.
go back and look
So
at.
that's, I guess that's my point. My point is, that was just the top of my head about the balcony of joining it. So
I had the same thing.
So why not, if you're going to pass it because of what the town has put itself into, pass it as it's written. Let them go back, the planning and zoning. There might be another caveat to adding a balcony to that spot.
Right.
And it
Could
might
put
be in
something
another
else.
part of the code somewhere. So rather than add something to it from us off the cuff, why not pass what we have? Go.
It was your cuff.
I know that, but I'm saying it's just something you gotta think about.
Right, but that was my suggestion too. Let's pass
Oh,
what
I'm
we've
just
got.
saying, maybe you
So,
wanna amend your amendment, take off that second part, the emotion on it.
I think I'm gonna leave my amendment as stands, my motion as stands.
So does your motion have a balcony?
yeah, she had the.
Fine, and
no
I
button.
seconded that.
Okay.
All right.
And I agree, it's ridiculous off the cuff, but with what little knowledge we have, we're trying to rescue.
All
I
right.
guess you know the amendment to take it out too.
Yeah.
All right then. We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Shall we have a vote? Jeffrey, how do you vote?
Right, yes.
Yay.
Stephen?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work.
But to your point, Commissioner Paz, would you like to now have consensus from the commission to?
That next time you guys have a meeting, and I realize it's summer vacations and you're going away and you won't be together for a bit, but you can take a look at how this intersects with balconies and any other quirky things that
Yes,
really rub your
and
head.
staff can work on that
Right.
before our next meeting.
Okay.
I think they heard you loud and clear.
Because they're the ones who kind of see these things that maybe just don't fit right. And we appreciate it. A lot of good staff work here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty then. No Chairman Marsh. Rick, do you have a report for us? Sorry to do it.
You don't have
Need any more?
I
Plans on
have submitted a written report
Right.
With Tracy's help, and it's a lot of work in progress. So, and we'll be we're ways off for bringing the next items to you. So.
All right, thank you very much.
Should we schedule a workshop for October, November with P&Z at this point?
I think they're very useful.
I think we workshopped you to death last time. Is there anything left?
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What we've been working on.
Yeah. Basically, this was a bit of a workshop, right?
We don't need a workshop if there's no staff or commission issues that you'd like us to address. We'd be happy to have shorter meetings.
Yeah. Us too.
Mark would like to get to work on time.
I know, right?
But we're here to serve you, so just let us know.
All right, let's keep moving here. How about Town Manager Stevens? Will you please present the Town Manager's report?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I'm not going to read the report. It's in your packages and it's on the screen for the public if they'd like to read it. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, Town Attorney Godot, do you have anything to report?
No report, thank you.
Okay, Chief Jones, would you like to present your report?
I spoke briefly at the beginning, obviously, in reference to some of the events that have happened recently. And I just want to reiterate to the community that we serve, that we are here to protect and serve you all. And we appreciate all of your assistance in calling in when you see things that are suspicious or unusual. We will continue to do our jobs and we will continue to do the best we can to serve the community. Our officers, as you could hear, are extremely busy in comparison to what they have been in the past. And we are short one police officer and 2 dispatchers, so we will continue to try to backfill those positions as we move forward. So please bear with us if you don't get to us immediately or we don't get to you immediately, but we're doing our best to make sure we take care of all your needs and help you when you need us. Thank you.
Thank you. Town Engineer Public Works, I think we have that report and we heard from Lisa. Building Official Guy, please present your official report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the interest of time, since I said the report is attached to the package as read. If you have any questions, I'm ready to clarify.
Thank you.
All right then.
Take one and pass it.
Item 10, under Town Commissioner comments, is Growth management considerations by Vice Mayor DeHasa.
Oh.
Please present your item.
Chief, can you put that up on the board?
I'm working on it right now.
Thank you so much. So as you know, I look at growth management issues professionally, and one of the things that I just thought everybody should be aware of, besides myself and Betty Bingham and the Coastal Star, is what is actually happening at the base of Ocean Avenue Bridge on Ocean Avenue. As we all know, 8 years ago, Boynton Beach changed this entire quadrant between Federal Highway and Ocean Avenue to mixed-use core, which allows up to 150 feet of a building. They also designated it as a transportation concurrency exception area, which encourages infill and development, and also designated it as a transit-oriented development, which basically is based on a very faulty 2006 study by the Florida East Coast Railroad that basically said we might want to put at one point a railroad station in Boynton, or we might want to put it in Delray, or West Palm already has one, and Boca has fought very long and hard and finally is getting one. And what that basically does is it gives certain density exceptions and traffic exceptions to anything that's being built. So I just wanted to lay out what you're looking at on the map. You can see Ocean Avenue Bridge all the way coming through, and you can see Federal Highways in the blue. So A, B, and C are already built. A is Marina Village, which is 338 condos and 11 townhouses. B is Casa Costa, which is finally occupied at 400 condos. And C is a rental mixed-use development with 341 units. So what is proposed and has already been approved by Boynton Commission coming out of the ground is D, E, and F. D is the Pierce, which is kind of between Boynton Beach Boulevard and Ocean Avenue, where the Ace Hardware is, where Hurricane Alley is. It's that entire block. And that will consist of 236 rental apartments. E is called Broadstone, which is right behind Betty's position, and it is a block and a half area. And that is a mixed-use rental micro unit, and that will have 274 units.
What's a micro unit?
A micro unit is very interesting. They have started believing in urban development that they have, it's almost an efficiency size, between 400 square feet to 600 square feet. So it's almost like an efficiency. So what it allows them to do is increase the density. So that density right there is zoned for 80 units per acre. So to give you an example, our top units per acre in Ocean Ridge for multifamily is 10 units per acre. So you're already at 8 times. But what these micro units do, and the fact that it's in this transportation development situation, is this building will be 99.3 units per acre. So that's almost 10 times the density that we would allow in our own township. And last but not least, F is Villages of East Ocean. It is a development that was sat vacant for the last 10 years. It's where the old Bank of America was. And it is back on the books. They have not received their final site plan development, but that will be an additional 336 rental apartments and 35 luxury condos. So in all total, the reason that I bring this up is Station 1, which is our fire EMT responder, is right behind all of this quagmire, these 4 corners, and it serves the north end of our town. So right now there's 1,090 current units that are already out of the ground and another 881 pending. So the good news is, if there is any good news in this, I attended a workshop 2 weekends ago where the newly seated commission, 3 brand new commissioners and a brand new mayor, are re-evaluating the building height and zoning in their core areas. So,
but it's too late for this.
Too late for this. But everybody should be aware. We all have these side issues about what is being built and what impact it will have on our traffic, on our foot traffic, our vehicular traffic, anything else like that. So I just figured I could professionally share with the public and with the council, the facts, because there's a lot of rumors out there. So I say it without judgment one way or the other, but this is what is happening. So thank you.
So I have one question. Where does Hurricane Alley end up?
Hurricane Alley, under the developer that has been chosen, which is the Ally Group, which is a Fort Lauderdale base, they will end up almost where Miller Land Planning is.
What's the name of that development? I forgot what
It's
they're
called
calling it.
South on US 1.
Piers, the Piers. So.
We can't lose anything.
No, they're just moving.
No, they're moving.
Yeah, they're hanging. They're part of the redevelopment,
Correct.
right? She's been very, very involved in that.
And very vocal.
Yes,
Correct.
and very vocal.
Priorities.
Okay, well, I thank you very much. Anything else we have here to go down the line? Town Manager Stevens? All right, I move to adjourn. Everybody out? Boom.
I'll take your budget books and your town commission books if you want to give them up.